In the small village of Kanyonga, people loved to share stories. One story that everyone talked about was the tale of a lost treasure hidden under the ancient baobab tree. The treasure belonged to a king from long ago who hid his riches to keep them safe. It was said that anyone who tried to find it would be cursed with bad luck. One sunny day, a curious boy named Juma was sitting under the baobab tree with his friend Amina. They listened to the stories from the elders and wondered if the treasure was real. Juma's heart raced at the thought of adventure. Amina felt a bit scared but excited too. They made a pact to search for the treasure together, hoping to uncover the secrets of the past. Juma and Amina knew they needed a plan. They decided to gather tools to help them dig. Juma borrowed a shovel and a pick from his father, while Amina packed some water and snacks for their journey. They wanted to be ready for anything they might find under the tree. The next morning, they woke up early, filled with excitement. They met at the baobab tree, where the sun shone bright in the clear sky. They took a moment to admire the big tree with its thick trunk and wide branches. Then, with determination in their hearts, they started to dig, thinking about all the treasure they might find. As they dug deeper, the ground was hard and rocky. Juma swung the shovel with all his might, while Amina cleared away the dirt. They worked together, laughing and talking about what they would do with the treasure. Juma imagined all the wonderful things he could buy, while Amina thought about how she could help her family. Hours passed, and they found nothing but roots and stones. They felt tired but didn't want to give up. Just when they were about to take a break, Juma's shovel hit something solid. They both jumped in surprise, their eyes wide with hope. What could it be? They dug faster, eager to see what lay beneath the earth. After a few moments, they uncovered a small, wooden box. It was covered in dirt and looked very old. Juma's heart raced as he brushed the dirt off the lid. Amina looked worried but excited. Together, they carefully opened the box, their hands shaking with anticipation. Inside, they found gold coins, shiny jewels, and a beautiful necklace. Juma gasped in disbelief, and Amina's eyes sparkled with wonder. They couldn't believe their eyes. They had found the treasure of Kanyonga. But as they celebrated, a strange feeling crept over them. The treasure seemed too good to be true. Suddenly, a shadow fell over them, and they looked up to see an old woman standing nearby. Her face was wrinkled, and her eyes were sharp. She wore a long robe that looked tattered and old. Juma and Amina felt a chill run down their spines as the woman spoke. "That treasure belongs to the spirits of Kanyonga," she shouted. "You have disturbed their peace. If you do not return it, you will face a terrible curse." Juma and Amina felt their hearts race. They remembered the stories they had heard about the curse that surrounded the treasure. They looked at each other, unsure of what to do next. The old woman stepped closer, her gaze piercing. "You must return the treasure to where you found it," she warned. "If you do not, misfortune will follow you." Juma felt fear creep into his heart. He had always dreamed of finding treasure, but now it felt heavy and dangerous. Amina trembled, her hands shaking. "What if we don't return it?" she whispered. Juma remembered the elders' warnings and knew they had to make a choice. With a heavy heart, he decided they must do the right thing, even if it meant giving up the treasure they had found. Juma took a deep breath and looked at Amina. "We have to return it," he said, his voice steady. "It's not worth risking our village or ourselves." Amina nodded, though she felt sad. They had worked so hard to find it, and now they were giving it all away. Together, they carefully placed the treasure back into the box. As they did, the old woman smiled softly. "You have chosen wisely," she said. "The spirits will be at peace now." With that, she vanished into the shadows, leaving Juma and Amina standing alone beneath the baobab tree, their hearts heavy with the weight of their decision. After returning the treasure, Juma and Amina sat down on the grass. They felt relieved, but they also felt a sense of loss. "What do we do now?" Amina asked, her voice quiet. Juma thought for a moment and then smiled. "Let's tell the village what happened. We can share our adventure." They ran back to the village, excited to share their story. The villagers were gathered near the river, and when Juma and Amina arrived, they could see that everyone was curious. They began to tell their tale, speaking about the treasure, the old woman, and the curse. The villagers listened, amazed by their bravery. As Juma and Amina shared their story, the villagers nodded in understanding. The elders smiled and praised the children for their wisdom. Baba Mosi, the wise elder of Kanyonga, stepped forward. "You have shown great courage," he said. "The true treasure lies in your hearts and the lessons you have learned." Juma felt proud, knowing they had done the right thing. Amina smiled, feeling happy to have shared their adventure. The villagers began to tell their own stories of bravery and friendship, and Juma and Amina realized that the real treasure was the bond they shared with their community. Days turned into weeks, and the village of Kanyonga thrived. The laughter of children filled the air, and everyone shared their stories under the baobab tree. Juma and Amina became the best storytellers, sharing their adventure and reminding everyone of the lessons they had learned about greed and friendship. One evening, as the sun set, the villagers gathered for a big feast. They celebrated their stories and the spirit of Kanyonga. Juma and Amina looked around, feeling grateful for their village and the love they shared. They knew that their adventure had brought them closer together. As the days passed, the villagers decided to hold a festival to celebrate their unity. They prepared delicious food, made colorful decorations, and invited everyone to join. Juma and Amina were excited to help organize the event, feeling the joy of their community. On the day of the festival, the sun shone brightly, and laughter filled the air. The villagers danced, sang, and shared their stories. Juma and Amina took turns telling their tale about the treasure and the old woman. Everyone listened with wide eyes, eager to hear what happened next. At the festival, Juma and Amina met new friends from nearby villages. They shared stories about their homes and their adventures. One girl named Zuri had a talent for singing, while a boy named Kito loved to tell jokes. Juma and Amina felt happy to make new friends and welcomed them into their circle. The festival continued with games and competitions. Everyone participated, and the atmosphere was filled with laughter. Juma and Amina knew this was a day they would remember forever, a day when their village felt more united than ever. As the sun began to set, Baba Mosi gathered the children and announced a challenge. "Tonight, we will have a storytelling competition," he declared. "Each of you will share a story, and the best storyteller will receive a special prize." The children cheered, eager to participate. Juma felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. He had already shared his story about the treasure, but he wanted to come up with something new. Amina encouraged him, saying, "Just be yourself, Juma. Tell a story that comes from your heart." With her words in mind, Juma started thinking about a new adventure he could share. That night, as the stars twinkled above, Juma sat with Amina, thinking about his story. He remembered the time he and Amina helped a lost goat find its way home. It was a small adventure, but it taught them the importance of kindness. Juma decided that would be his story for the competition. Amina, too, thought about her story. She planned to tell about the day she helped her mother gather firewood. It was a simple task, but it showed how teamwork made everything easier. They both felt excited to share their stories with the village. As the moon rose high in the sky, the storytelling competition began. One by one, the children shared their stories. Zuri sang a beautiful song about friendship, and Kito made everyone laugh with his funny tales. When it was Juma's turn, he took a deep breath and began to tell his story about the lost goat. He spoke clearly, and the villagers listened intently. Juma described how they searched high and low for the goat and how they finally found it hiding behind a bush. Everyone laughed and clapped, enjoying the adventure. When he finished, he felt proud and relieved. After Juma, it was Amina's turn. She stepped forward, her heart pounding a little. "I want to tell you about the day I helped my mother gather firewood," she began. She spoke about how they worked together, laughing and chatting as they collected the sticks. Amina explained how teamwork made the task easier and more fun. The villagers nodded, appreciating her simple yet meaningful story. When she finished, the crowd erupted in applause, and Amina beamed with happiness. She felt proud to share her experience. After all the stories were told, Baba Mosi stood up to announce the winner. "Every story was special," he said. "But the prize goes to Juma and Amina for their wonderful tales." The crowd cheered, celebrating their friendship and creativity. Juma and Amina were surprised and delighted. They received a small bag filled with seeds to plant in the village garden. Baba Mosi explained, "These seeds will grow into beautiful plants and remind us of the stories we shared tonight." Juma and Amina thanked everyone, feeling grateful for the support of their village. The next day, Juma and Amina gathered the villagers to plant the seeds together. They chose a sunny spot near the baobab tree, where everyone could see the garden grow. With shovels and watering cans, they worked side by side, laughing and sharing stories as they planted each seed. As they dug the soil, Juma thought about how their stories had brought the village closer. Amina agreed, feeling proud of their teamwork. They planted flowers, vegetables, and fruit trees, knowing that their hard work would create a beautiful garden for everyone to enjoy. Weeks passed, and the garden flourished. Bright flowers bloomed, and the vegetable plants grew tall and green. The villagers loved coming together to tend to the garden, sharing laughter and stories as they worked. Juma and Amina often helped, feeling a sense of pride in what they had created. One day, as they watered the plants, Amina said, "Our garden is like a treasure. It brings us together and gives us food and beauty." Juma smiled, realizing that they had found a new kind of treasure, one that didn't glitter but brought happiness to their hearts. One afternoon, while they were working in the garden, a stranger appeared at the edge of the village. He looked tired and dusty from traveling. The villagers paused to stare, unsure if they should approach him. Juma and Amina exchanged glances and decided to go see the stranger. As they walked closer, they noticed he carried a small bag and wore a friendly smile. "Hello, young ones," he greeted them. "I am Nuru, a traveler seeking a place to rest. May I stay in your village for a while?" Juma and Amina felt excited and wanted to help him. They took him to the village center, eager to introduce him to everyone. When they reached the village, the villagers gathered around to welcome Nuru. They offered him food and water, and he gratefully accepted. After eating, Nuru began to tell stories of his travels. He spoke of faraway lands, strange animals, and exciting adventures that captivated everyone's attention. Juma and Amina listened in awe. They learned about the different cultures and traditions of the places Nuru had visited. His tales were filled with laughter, mystery, and valuable lessons. The villagers were fascinated, and they felt a sense of wonder about the world beyond Kanyonga. Inspired by Nuru's stories, Juma and Amina felt a spark of adventure in their hearts. They wanted to explore and see the world like Nuru had. They approached him after his stories and asked, "Can you take us on an adventure?" Nuru smiled warmly and nodded. "Of course. But first, we must prepare." The next day, Juma and Amina gathered supplies for their journey. They packed water, food, and some of the seeds from their garden. Nuru shared his travel tips, teaching them how to stay safe and look for signs in nature. Excitement bubbled inside them as they prepared for their adventure together. On a bright morning, Juma, Amina, and Nuru set out on their adventure. The village waved goodbye, cheering for their brave children. Juma felt proud as they walked away from Kanyonga, ready to see what lay beyond the familiar paths. Amina felt a little nervous but excited too. They walked through the tall grass, enjoying the warm sun on their faces. Nuru pointed out interesting plants and animals along the way. They came across a group of monkeys playing in the trees, and Juma laughed at their silly antics. Amina took notes in her small notebook, wanting to remember everything they saw. As they continued their journey, they reached a wide river that flowed fast and deep. Juma and Amina paused, unsure of how to cross. Nuru smiled and said, "Don't worry. We will find a way." He looked around and noticed some stones sticking out of the water. "Let's use those to cross," he suggested. With careful steps, they made their way across the stones. Juma felt a rush of excitement as he hopped from one stone to the next. Amina followed closely, her heart racing. They reached the other side safely, feeling proud of their teamwork. This adventure was already teaching them new things. After crossing the river, they wandered deeper into the forest. The trees were tall and thick, and sunlight peeked through the leaves, creating beautiful patterns on the ground. Suddenly, Nuru stopped and pointed to a small opening in the rocks. "Look! A cave," he exclaimed. Juma's eyes widened with curiosity. "Can we explore it?" he asked eagerly. Amina felt a little nervous but nodded. They approached the cave, and Nuru led the way, holding a small lantern to light their path. Inside, the cave was cool and dark, and the walls shimmered with crystals. As they walked deeper into the cave, they marveled at the beautiful crystals that sparkled in the light. Juma reached out to touch one, feeling its cool surface. "These are amazing," he said, his voice echoing in the cave. Amina picked up a small crystal and put it in her pocket, wanting to keep a piece of this adventure with her. Nuru smiled and explained, "These crystals are special and hold stories of the earth. But remember, we must respect nature and leave things as we found them." Juma and Amina nodded, understanding the importance of caring for the world around them. As they explored the cave, they heard a strange sound coming from deeper inside. It sounded like soft whispering, and Juma felt a shiver run down his spine. "What is that?" he asked, glancing at Nuru. The traveler frowned, looking concerned. "Let's be cautious. We should see what it is." They continued walking, the whispers growing louder. Amina held onto Juma's arm, feeling a mix of fear and excitement. As they turned a corner, they found a small group of animals gathered in a circle. It was a family of owls, their big eyes watching curiously. Juma and Amina relaxed, relieved that the sound came from harmless creatures. The owls began to hoot softly, as if trying to communicate with the travelers. Nuru knelt down, speaking gently to them. "These owls are wise and know the secrets of the forest," he said. Juma and Amina listened closely, eager to learn from the owls. One owl, larger than the others, flapped its wings and spoke in a soft voice. "Young travelers, the forest holds many mysteries. Treat it with respect, and it will guide you on your journey." Juma and Amina nodded, feeling honored to receive advice from such wise creatures. They promised to listen to the forest and learn from its lessons. Leaving the cave, Juma, Amina, and Nuru felt grateful for their encounter with the owls. As they walked through the forest, they began to notice the beauty of nature all around them. They saw colorful flowers, listened to the birds singing, and felt the soft breeze on their skin. Nuru pointed out different plants and explained how each one had its purpose. "Nature is like a big storybook," he said. "Each plant and animal has a role to play." Juma and Amina felt inspired, understanding that they were part of a larger world filled with connections. As they continued their journey, dark clouds began to gather in the sky. Juma looked up, feeling worried. "Is it going to rain?" he asked. Nuru nodded, his expression serious. "We should find shelter before the storm hits," he said, looking around for a safe place. They hurried through the trees, searching for a spot to wait out the rain. Soon, they discovered a large tree with thick branches that provided a cozy shelter. They settled underneath, feeling the wind pick up as the storm approached. Amina pulled out some snacks from her bag, and they shared a meal while waiting for the rain. The storm hit suddenly, with heavy rain pouring down and thunder rumbling overhead. Juma and Amina huddled under the tree, listening to the raindrops hitting the leaves. Juma felt a bit scared, but Nuru reassured them, "Storms come and go. We just need to stay calm and wait it out." As they waited, Amina began to tell a story to distract them. She spoke about a brave girl who faced her fears and discovered hidden treasures in her village. Juma listened closely, feeling comforted by Amina's words. They both knew that storms wouldn't last forever. After what felt like hours, the rain finally stopped. The sun peeked through the clouds, creating a beautiful rainbow in the sky. Juma, Amina, and Nuru emerged from their shelter, amazed by the sight. "Look at that!" Juma exclaimed, pointing at the vibrant colors. As they walked, they noticed the forest was alive again. The raindrops glistened on the leaves, and the air felt fresh and clean. Birds chirped joyfully, celebrating the end of the storm. Juma and Amina smiled, realizing how beautiful nature could be after a challenge. As they continued their journey, they encountered a fork in the path. One way led deeper into the forest, while the other path seemed to lead toward a village in the distance. Juma looked at Nuru. "Which way should we go?" he asked. Nuru paused to think. "Let's go toward the village," he suggested. "We can meet new people and learn more about their stories." Juma and Amina agreed, excited about the idea of discovering a new place. They took the path toward the village, their hearts full of anticipation. After walking for a while, they finally reached the village. It was smaller than Kanyonga but bustling with activity. Children played games in the dusty streets, and colorful stalls lined the path, selling food and crafts. Juma and Amina felt a wave of excitement wash over them as they stepped into the village. As they explored, the villagers greeted them with smiles and waves. Juma and Amina felt welcomed and decided to share their stories with the new friends they met. Nuru encouraged them, saying, "Every village has its own tales. You should listen and learn." As they walked through the village, they met a girl named Lila who loved to dance. She invited them to join a dance circle where everyone laughed and moved to the rhythm of the music. Juma and Amina jumped in, feeling the joy of the moment. Lila introduced them to her friends, who shared their stories of growing up in the village. Juma and Amina felt happy to learn about their lives and experiences. They realized that, no matter where they came from, everyone had stories to tell and dreams to chase. That evening, the village held a celebration to welcome Juma, Amina, and Nuru. The villagers prepared a big feast with delicious food, music, and dance. Juma and Amina joined in, feeling the excitement of the festivities. As they feasted, Nuru shared stories of his travels, and the villagers listened intently. Juma and Amina took turns sharing their own adventures, making everyone laugh. They felt grateful for the warmth of the new village and the friendships they were forming. Later that night, as the stars twinkled overhead, Lila pulled Juma and Amina aside. "I have a dream," she said with shining eyes. "I want to become a dancer and travel to show the world our culture." Juma felt inspired by Lila's passion, and Amina nodded, thinking about her own dreams. "I want to help my village grow with beautiful gardens," Amina said. "Maybe we can work together to teach others about nature." Juma smiled, feeling the spark of creativity between them. They all shared their dreams, knowing that with friendship and hard work, anything was possible. The next day, Juma, Amina, Nuru, and Lila decided to explore more of the surrounding area. They set off on a new adventure, eager to discover what lay beyond the village. As they walked, they laughed and shared stories, their bond growing stronger with each step. They hiked through the hills, where wildflowers bloomed and butterflies danced in the air. Juma felt a sense of freedom and joy, realizing that each day brought new possibilities. Amina picked wildflowers, weaving them into crowns for everyone to wear. They felt like a family, united by their dreams and adventures. As they explored the hills, they stumbled upon another cave, but this one was much larger. It looked dark and mysterious, and Juma felt a thrill of excitement. "Should we go inside?" he asked, glancing at Nuru. "Yes," Lila exclaimed, her eyes sparkling with curiosity. They approached the cave together, feeling a mix of nervousness and excitement. Inside, the cave was filled with stunning formations and sparkling stones. As they ventured deeper, they discovered unique crystals and rocks that glowed softly in the dim light. They felt like they had entered a magical world. As they explored further, Nuru spotted something shining in the corner of the cave. He led the group to a small chest hidden among the rocks. Could it be another treasure? Amina wondered, her heart racing. They carefully opened the chest to find it filled with beautiful jewelry and ancient artifacts. Juma's eyes widened in amazement. "This is incredible," he said, picking up a sparkling necklace. But then he remembered the lesson they had learned back in Kanyonga. "We should respect this treasure, just like we did before," he suggested. The others agreed, realizing that this treasure, like the last, held history and stories waiting to be shared. After finding the treasure, they sat together to discuss what to do. Nuru shared his thoughts. "We could take it back to the village and share it with everyone. But we must make sure it is respected." Juma and Amina nodded, feeling a sense of responsibility. Lila added, "Maybe we can create a small museum to show the villagers the history of our people." They all agreed that preserving the treasure was important. They would ensure it was used to educate others and celebrate their culture, not for personal gain. With the chest safely packed, Juma, Amina, Nuru, and Lila made their way back to the village. As they walked, they shared their excitement about the treasure and the plans for the museum. They felt proud to bring something special back to their community. When they finally returned to the village, the villagers gathered around, curious about their adventure. Juma and Amina told them about the cave, the treasure, and their plans to create a place to learn about their culture. The villagers cheered, excited about the new opportunity to celebrate their history. The next few weeks were filled with hard work. Juma, Amina, Nuru, Lila, and the villagers gathered materials to build the museum. They found old wood, colorful fabrics, and decorations from their gardens. Everyone contributed, sharing their talents and ideas. As the museum took shape, the excitement in the village grew. Juma and Amina felt proud to be part of something bigger. They knew that the museum would help everyone learn about their heritage and the adventures they had shared. It was a treasure for the whole community. After weeks of hard work, the museum was finally ready. The villagers gathered for the grand opening, excited to see what had been created. Juma and Amina stood at the entrance, welcoming everyone with smiles. They felt a sense of pride knowing they had helped build something special. Inside the museum, they displayed the treasure from the cave, along with stories and artifacts from their village. The walls were decorated with colorful drawings and photographs that told the story of Kanyonga. Everyone was amazed by the beauty and history on display. As the villagers explored the museum, Juma and Amina encouraged everyone to share their stories. The elders spoke about their experiences and the lessons they had learned. The children listened intently, absorbing the wisdom of their community. Nuru, Lila, and the others joined in, sharing their own adventures. The museum became a place of connection, where everyone could learn from each other and celebrate their heritage. Juma and Amina felt happy to see the joy their hard work had brought to the village. The museum quickly became a beloved part of village life. People visited often, learning about their history and sharing stories. One day, Baba Mosi announced a special day to honor the museum and the stories it held. He invited everyone to come together for a celebration. Juma and Amina helped organize the event, excited to bring the village together. They planned games, dances, and storytelling sessions. The villagers eagerly prepared for the celebration, feeling grateful for the gift of their shared history. On the day of the celebration, the village was filled with laughter and joy. Families gathered to enjoy food, games, and performances. Juma and Amina watched as everyone came together, feeling a sense of belonging and pride. As the sun began to set, the villagers gathered around the museum for a storytelling circle. Juma and Amina took turns sharing their adventures, inspiring others to tell their own stories. Lila danced joyfully, adding to the festive atmosphere. As the night went on, Baba Mosi spoke to the crowd. "This museum is a treasure, but the true treasure lies in our stories and connections," he said. "Let us continue to share and learn from one another, celebrating our culture and history." Juma and Amina felt a warm glow in their hearts, knowing that their adventures had brought everyone together. They realized that their journey had just begun. There were still many stories to discover and share, and they were excited about the future. After the celebration, Juma and Amina sat together, reflecting on their journey. "We've done so much already," Amina said, her eyes sparkling. "But there's so much more to explore." Juma nodded, feeling the same sense of adventure. "I want to visit more villages and learn about their stories," he said. "And I want to create more gardens to share with others." Amina smiled, inspired by Juma's ideas. They knew that as long as they had each other, they could take on any adventure together. With their dreams in mind, Juma and Amina felt ready to embrace the future. They looked forward to new adventures, making friends, and sharing stories. As they stood in front of the museum, the sun shining brightly, they knew that their journey was only just beginning. And so, with their hearts full of hope and excitement, Juma and Amina took their first steps toward a new chapter in their lives, ready to create more memories and treasure every moment of their adventures together.